Hello, this is Taylor, and
I'm Amanda Snyder, her grandmother.
it's true. So today we are joined by an extremely special guest. This is my maternal grandmother, Amanda, as she just said. And mom is, you're gonna hear me call her mom because I heard my mother call her mom when I was young, and so that just always stuck. So I've called you mom since I was a kid, right?
Since you begin to talk.
Yeah, she's just mom.
Sometimes that's confusing when both of us are in the room. That is confusing.
It is. And it's also confusing that we have so many Johns in the family.
Yes.
Yeah, my brother's John, my dad's John, my grandpa's John. So guys, today we are gonna jump into some really fun and important questions because as you guys saw in the title, mom is 100 years old. How does that feel? How does 100 feel?
It feels great.
Mom, obviously, as you can imagine, is just a wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and you guys submitted some amazing questions on Instagram. Follow me over there if you want to be part of these videos in the future. So without further ado, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let mom introduce herself a little bit more and then we'll dive into the questions. Mom, where are you from? And tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I am from southern Kentucky, where I stayed until I went away to college. I'm one of 8 children, and we lived in a 2-room house at the beginning. Well, there was never 8 of us there at one time because by the time the latter ones were born, the others had gone away to school.
I remember hearing when I was growing up that you guys, did you all share a bathroom or did you even have a bathroom?
We didn't have a bathroom. We had an outside house.
Oh, an outhouse.
I had an outhouse, and we had a wash tub that went behind the stove with a sheet or something hung up to give you privacy to get your bath.
At the time, that probably felt normal.
It felt normal at that time. Today, that would be a different story.
Probably toughened you up a little bit.
Yes.
And what was your occupation?
I was a teacher for 34 years. I was a business major, and I taught high school. And then we moved to a community where they needed a special ed teacher, and I started teaching special education children.
And how did that compare to your teaching experience before you started teaching special ed?
There wasn't any comparison in it at all because it was so different. And I've been retired since 1986, and I had still received 2 Christmas cards from students that I taught.
Every year?
Every year. Again, just this past year.
Well, that just goes to show you were a good teacher, a memorable teacher.
Well, I had that reputation.
That's good. I believe it. Also a business major. You and I have that in common. And then final intro question, because we're going to get into questions about love. And so how long were you married for?
For 42 and a half years.
That's impressive. So we're going to get into questions about love and how to maintain a healthy marriage and all that good stuff. But 42 years to Harold.
Yes, to Harold.
Who I unfortunately never met. He passed away only a few years before I was born, but I have heard enough stories. I feel like I know him. Okay, so Mom, I think we should start with probably the #1 question that was asked by far the most, which was, what is your secret for such a long, healthy life?
Well, I never smoked because I didn't like to smoke. I didn't drink. I've had a few little drinks, but I didn't drink because I didn't like to drink. It wasn't because I was too good to drink, I didn't like it.
Doesn't taste very good.
And then when I needed to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to school, I tried to make myself be in the bed by 10 o'clock at night.
So no drinking, no smoking, in bed by 10.
Yeah.
Those are things I should probably do. Something I think so many people are wondering in general is just your life advice for the younger generation. So we have some questions on this topic, and just starting broadly, what is your biggest advice for someone in their 20s and 30s?
To get all of the education that they possibly can, and whatever job they take, what they like it or not, do the very best they can with it.
This is kind of similar, but what are your tips in general to the younger generation on how to lead a fulfilling life?
Keep in contact with their family. That's a big thing. That is my life now, is a contact with my family.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this is something I'm personally really interested in, and obviously I've heard stories from family, but a lot of people are curious what it was like to live through World War II. And so to give you guys some context, I come from a family of like all veterans. My grandfather, her husband, was in the 101st Airborne in World War II, which is what Band of Brothers was based off of, if you've seen that. He was a paratrooper. And then my paternal grandfather and my dad are also vets. Mom, as someone who lived through World War II, what are some of your memories from that time, and how did it affect you and your family's everyday life? life?
When Pearl Harbor was hit, I had a first cousin who at the age of 19 went down on the Arizona and his body was never found. And then I had 5 brothers, and 4 of them were in service. None of them were ever in combat.
What was sort of everyday life like? Were you hearing about it all the time when you were in school, and how did people think about it and talk about it?
We were always anxious to gather around the radio to see what was the latest and what was going on, and when there's a possibility that a truce would be signed.
To switch things up to the lighter side now a little bit, we got a lot of questions about love. Someone that was married for 42 years. What is your secret for a long-lasting love and maintaining a healthy relationship?
You try to treat them like you want them to treat you. You treat them with respect, and I treated him with a lot of love because I loved him dearly, and I still do. And we felt like the children we had together, that we smothered them with love.
Yep, I think they would agree. Something else someone asked is loving someone worth it?
Absolutely. In my case, it was. And he was the one, and that was the only one that I ever had lasting feelings. I had friends, but this was the only one I ever felt like I wanted to marry.
Well, that leads me to my next question, which is, do you believe in one true soulmate, or do you feel like you've had many loves? Because for context, she's been proposed to how many times? 4 times, but she's only been married once. Absolute savage. But you do believe in the one true soulmate, I know.
Yes, I believe in one. And when I decided he was the man I was going to marry, we were going to this little country church that didn't have a choir. He had a beautiful voice, and ever so often they would request that he sing a solo in church. And one morning he was up, and I can't remember the song, and that bothers me. And I said, "Young man, you don't know it, but I'm going to marry you one of these days."
You said that to him, or said that
I said it to myself.
to yourself? You know how to play it cool.
So I just chased him until he caught me.
It didn't take too long, did it?
No, it didn't take long.
So, Mom, another question that a lot of people actually asked was, you've lived through 10 decades. So what was your favorite decade and why?
1950 was my favorite decade because we were married in 1950, and all 3 of our children were born. And so kind of changed our way of life. And I felt like those first years of their life was the most important ones. And for them to start the way that I assume they did, because they all turned out great.
Yeah, they did. A lot of people are curious about changes over generations because you've seen so much happen. And so we have a few questions on this, but the first one is, what has blown your mind the most during your lifetime in terms of technological advancement or invention?
Oh, when I was growing up and would see airplanes fly over,
Yeah.
I wonder, if I'll ever go in one of those. And the time came, and it was about 1980 or 1982, something like that. I flew from Cincinnati, Ohio to Orlando, Florida, and I can still see myself sitting at the window and looking out as we were flying down. How amazing that was.
Yeah. And you'd told me in the past you'd been up in a small plane for fun before, but you didn't quite like that.
I didn't care for it.
That's the irony, because my whole entire family, we're all pilots, and so that's funny. Do you think that the pace that the world is changing is faster these days?
Yeah, I would say so. Much faster.
Really?
The pace of life is much faster than what it used to be.
Yeah, I'm curious because in movies and just the kind of content and things that I consume, it seems to be faster, but I also wonder if that's just a bias. But you would agree that it's faster?
From my point of view, it's much faster, the pace of life.
How different was the world back then versus now?
It's hard to explain, but it was a great difference. Like I walked to school, and I attended a one-room school till I was in about the 4th or the 5th grade.
Different way of life.
A different way of life.
Even the walking to school part, I feel like people don't really do that anymore.
A lot of times we walked with neighbors, and that was a social time.
That sounds fun.
We were fortunate that we came from the mountains of Kentucky because there was a college, Berea College, which you could attend for no tuition. And because of that, there are 6 of us children have a degree from Berea, and 2 have an advanced degree.
Oh, wow. Because you grew up in poverty.
Yes.
Yet 6 of the 8 siblings all went to college, which is unusual. You wouldn't expect that. What is it about your upbringing that sort of influenced all of you, most of you, to go to college?
Our mother was a teacher, and she, from the time I can remember, the word was, you will get an education and have a better life than most of these people do.
And you did.
And we did.
This is a fun fact as sort of a segue into our next question. Your mom, my great-grandma, also lived to be 100 years old, and she was born in the 1800s, so that's just, we have good genes. Good genes. So with that, I can't tell you how many people on the internet said how amazing you look for 100 years old. What are your beauty secrets or tips for looking so youthful?
I'm not real skinny, which helps me to look younger than what I would otherwise. That makes a difference. As I said, I never smoked and I never drank. So, and then most of the time have always had enough rest.
Pretty simple, actually.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah. Okay, so switching gears a little bit, and you and I talked about this last night. People had questions around happiness. So, plain and simple, are you happy?
Yes, I'm happy because I still have my 3 children and I have my 7 grandchildren. That's my life.
All the grandkids. That's me when I was 16. It's my brother. All my cousins.
So we have some deeper questions, you know, what really matters and what really doesn't matter, because I think it's easy for especially young people to kind of get caught up on things that in 5 or 10 years just like really don't matter. What would you tell your 20 to 40-year-old self not to worry about?
What people think about you.
That's a good one.
You live the kind of life that you think you should live, and what they think about you is immaterial.
Is money everything in life, or how important is it really?
No, money is not everything. Money is a necessity for living,
Absolutely.
and anything beyond that is something else.
What's the most valuable thing to you besides family?
It's my friends.
Oh.
My friends are great for me.
The next batch of questions I really like, and it's around sort of some of your favorites. So first one is, do you have a single favorite memory of life?
Probably when I heard my first child give that first call.
First cry?
Cry.
Yeah. I don't know what that's like yet, but I'm looking forward to it one day. What memories do you kind of find yourself reflecting on the most?
One year, I received an invitation to go to London to a special education convention. And I said to Harold, my husband, I'm going to go to that. He said, oh, I can't go. I don't have the money. I said, honey, I've got the money if you've got the time. But any money we had was in the bank with both names. So anyway, I said, we don't owe anybody anything. We have enough money in the bank to pay for the trip. And why shouldn't we go? That was an experience I'll never forget. We were in London and France and Belgium, Germany, and those are the ones I think of now.
That's a lot.
And when I saw the Eiffel Tower, unbelievable.
Yeah, it really does take your breath away. It's a
Yes,
pretty
it-
beautiful structure.
yeah.
Believe it or not, a lot of people also asked where you were, if you remember where you were when JFK was shot.
Oh, I was in the classroom, and the principal came over the intercom. All the teachers met in the science room, and he informed us that JFK had been shot.
That probably turned your world upside down, right?
Yes, it surely did.
Yeah. Now, we have a quick round of some questions that people had about me through your eyes. What did you think Taylor would be when she grew up? I'm speaking in third person for no reason.
I thought she would be beautiful and gracious and lovable and would be a success of anything she tried.
Thanks.
I'll tell you one story about Taylor. There was a younger baby in the family, and Taylor didn't like me having that baby. So she came to the end of the couch and climbed up and placed herself between the baby and me.
That sounds about right. Someone is curious, what qualities should a guy have to date Taylor?
It better be someone who was upright, very gracious, and very kind.
I agree. Who's your favorite grandchild?
Taylor.
I agree.
I mean, listen, I agree. She didn't have to say it 3 times in a row. It's like, Mom, I get it, I get it. But like, my cousins are great too. My brother's great. Come on, it's a bit much.
Okay, guys, there actually is one more thing Mom has to say. She was too nervous to say it before, but what was that you wanted to say?
Like and subscribe.
She said it. You gotta listen to Mom. It's been an honor to have you as my second mom.
Thank you. It's been lovely having you as another daughter.
Thanks, Mom. Until next time, Turtle out. Bye. I'll help you out of this death trap. that we have here.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Okay, ready?